Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in. You're listening to the Beyond 50 radio program. I'm Daniel Davis. On the program today, we're going to be talking about dances of universal peace. What one would say is that all about? Well, that's what we're going to find out today. Our guest is a certified dance leader of the Dances of Universal Peace. He first started dancing and playing guitar for the dances in Seattle in 1991. He also earned a degree in both philosophy and music theory, and he continued his education and experience to include shamanism and mysticism, Eastern and Western philosophy, and world religions. I'd like to welcome to the Beyond 50 radio program our guest, Michael Sheehan. Michael, thank you for joining us here on the program today.
Hi, Daniel. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Now, tell us what this Dance of Universal Peace is all about.
Well, it's an opportunity for people from any spiritual tradition or religion or no tradition or religion to come together and have their own direct experience of the divine without any doctrine or dogma or anybody saying this is how it is or that is how it is. And we do that by joining together in a circle and doing some very simple group singing and dancing using mantras from sacred traditions around the world. And they're taught within a minute or two, and everybody dances for 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll do another one. And we might, in the course of an evening, do a Native American dance, a Christian dance, a Hindu dance, an Islamic dance, a Buddhist dance. So just representing as many of the different traditions as we can without being partial to one or another.
Mm-hmm. Now, are there different versions within each of these traditions?
Different versions?
Yeah, of how the dance plays out?
There's two sort of streams of the dances, and I think they reflect two streams in a lot of things. One is the utmost precision of getting the original in its pristine version and preserving that. And then there's also room for the spirit within the tradition to take on a new form, like a new dance might come through in that tradition, even though it's not part of the original culture.
Oh, okay, great. Now, which one did you first start with as you discovered that this was the direction you wanted to go with your life?
Which one?
Yeah, which one of the dances pulled you in first, as far as the traditions go?
Well, I'd have to say that it was in the Christian tradition, because that's my primary orientation. Not that I belong to a Christian church, but that I really pay attention to the things that Jesus said and try to live up to them the best I can. So I resonated with that. But then I started to find that through the dances, I learned a lot more about the other cultures and the inner meanings of their teachings than I had just through, studying, reading books. And I started to develop this understanding of and it's the purpose of the dances to understand the one reality that all of these different traditions have been trying to approach in their own way.
Ah, outstanding. And what makes them so unique individually and then collectively as a whole, the things that may make them similar, do you think? I know that seems like kind of a big question, but...
So what makes them...
It's kind of like the idea, you've got Judaism, you've got Christianity, and it goes on and on and on, but the one thing they're trying to get is to, the search for God, the inner spirit within. And yes. So they have unique approaches to how they do that, like these dances, but then as a whole, what makes them similar is what I'm asking.
Well, I think the most telling thing for me is that, as I say, in the course of an evening, we may do 6 or 7 dances from as many different cultures around the world. Mm-hmm. And yet, and this is one of the main things that first drew me into the dances, is that after the first dance, no matter what name of God you might have used or what language or what tradition it was from, at the end of the dance, everyone comes to a moment of stillness and quiet, and you can feel, or I should say, I can feel this palpable presence of peace and a feeling of blessing filling the room. And then we go on to another dance from another tradition with a different name for God. And at the end of that dance, again, I would feel that same palpable peace and the feeling of blessing. So whether or not we have, I don't even know that you can have a definitive concept of God or a name of God, but yet each one of these approaches seems to draw that feeling of peace and provide that feeling of healing.
Now, what is the experience for people who attend this? Do they get involved? Do they just watch what's happening, or how does this all work?
Oh, this is not a spectator sport or an exhibition. This is participating. People come and join together, holding hands in a circle. There's always live music, so there'll be live musicians in the center and the dance leader or leaders. And as I say, it takes 1, 2, maybe sometimes 3 minutes to teach the movements and the melody and the words. Mm-hmm. And then people just commence to dancing for anywhere from 5 to 8, 10 minutes on one particular dance, so that you really sink into it and go deep. Mm-hmm. And then there's that moment, that brief pause where you feel that peace and that blessing, and then we start another dance.
Ah, okay. I know I had a wonderful experience a couple of years back. There was a Toltec dance instructor, and he was the one that was teaching where what would happen is you would be blindfolded, and then you would dance in a room with everyone else, and you just pretty much kind of express yourself as the music plays, and nobody ever seemed to bump into each other. And what was really astounding is when it was all done, I ended up laying in almost exactly the same place that I started, and I know that I was moving around in the room. But I found that pretty interesting. What kind of experiences do people have when they attend this Dance of Universal Peace?
Well, for one thing, it's usually not any kind of free-form dancing, although there are a few dances that incorporate free-form. By and large, it's, the dance leader will teach you a few simple movements, and everyone does the same thing all together. And that's one of the key elements is there's a kind of a rhythmic entrainment that happens, mm-hmm. and you can feel the group coming into greater and greater coherence until it's as if there's just one being dancing through all of the bodies. Ah. You really unite. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me of that old Egyptian proverb that the sum is greater than, or the sum of the whole is greater than its parts.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Now, go ahead.
Well, it's kind of like a chandelier. If you have one candle sending out a flame, it puts out a certain amount of light. But when you've got a lot of them all together and they're reflecting off each other, it creates more than what you would think by just adding up the individual candles.
Do you see people experience life transformation when they come and participate in this?
What I see is that practically everyone that I've known who has come to the dances has, didn't realize what it was until they actually experienced it. But once they experience it, they come back. And my wife and I lead a weekly circle in Portland, and we listen to the feedback. People tell us this is an oasis of calm in my busy week. They say, mm-hmm. I don't want to miss a single week. They say, this feeds my soul in a way that nothing else I found has been able to do.
Oh, that's exciting. How do people find out more about this, and does it continually go on, or is this just going to be a one-time special event or an annual event?
Oh, this is a weekly event.
Weekly, okay.
We meet every Tuesday evening at 7:30 at St. David of Wales at 2800 East Harrison. People can find out more about it by checking our website, which is movingmeditations-dup.com. And go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and this is located in Portland, Oregon, is where we're talking about here.
Yes, but there are also dance circles all over the world.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yes. I think there's, last count, there was 55 or 60 countries that have dance circles. There's an international network. We actually have not only our circle in Portland, but there's another one that meets every Friday, another one that meets first Sunday or the third Sunday of every month. And then we also have a circle in Hillsboro, and that's just in the greater Portland area.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Practically every major city, I think, will have a Dance of Universal Peace, and there's a national website and an international website, which you can find through our website because we have a link page.
Okay.
And if people go to the link for the DUP, Dances of Universal Peace International, there's a dance circle finder, so you can plug in your area and they'll tell you the nearest dance circle.
This is all very exciting. Do you find that you add new dances to this? And how many different ones can a person expect to, I guess, experience each week as they attend this?
We normally lead 6 or 7 dances per evening. And originally there were about 60 dances, and there are now probably closer to 1,000.
Wow, 1,000.
They come from in different ways. One is dances that have come down to us from individual cultures. Like there are some Native American dances, for example, that were given to us by a particular tribe, and we try to do that dance as best as we can in the form that it was given to us. And there's a part of the dance organization called the Mentor Teachers Guild that is entrusted with the job of preserving the transmission of the dances that were given from various cultures. Mm-hmm. But then there are also people who are quite active in the individual cultures who will have a new dance come through them. And the way that comes about most often, I think, is the way that our founder, the founder of the dances, Murshid Sam Lewis, he said that he would concentrate on a sacred phrase. For example, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. It's a phrase, a mantra from the Hindu tradition that's, centuries and centuries old. And he would concentrate on that, be with it, meditate it, think about the meaning of it, and by focusing his attention on it, it seemed like he would draw in a melody and then some movements and give birth to that dance.
Mm-hmm. It's all very fascinating to realize that there's so much going on out there. Tell us, how important is it for people, especially beyond 50, if you will, to be involved in something like dance, especially the way that you folks present it?
Well, there's a lot of benefits. It's important for people personally. It's important for their local community, and it's important for the world. At least this is how I look at it. As far as the personal benefits, you've got singing, which opens up your lungs, and I remember reading that conductors of symphonies as a profession live longer than any other professions, and they said it's because your arms are up and you're opening your chest cavity, giving more space to your lungs and taking the weight off your heart. The dancing is it's not, some people have an idea of dancing like you got to have a lot of grace or form or skill or talent. When we say dancing, what we're really talking about is if you can walk, you can do these dances, because it's stepping right, left, go in a circle this way, come in, come out. So it's very basic movements, but it's all bilateral movement, which has been shown to produce natural healing and stress reduction. Mm-hmm. And the singing in community has been shown scientifically to reduce the level of stress hormones and increase your immune function. There's you probably are familiar with Brian Eno. He's famous for music for airports and a quite, successful musician and composer. And I read a quote from him recently where he said that basically I believe that singing is the key to long life. And he quoted a recent long-term study conducted in Scandinavia to discover which activities relate to happier and healthier later life. And 3 activities stood out: camping, dancing, and singing.
You got to love that.
Yeah.
I think, too, the thing that's enjoyable about dancing and why people should feel encouraged if they live in the Portland, Oregon area to attend this if you don't have that activity in your life is, again, you've got the music and you've got the movement, and the body needs that kind of vibration and rhythm. And I was just thinking, as you were saying, if you can walk, you can do these dances. And you consider, for instance, the way the Native American dance circles are, they tend to have that beating of a drum that's doo, 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 sort of like that. Yeah. And it's really like the heartbeat of the world. And they don't move real fast. It isn't, as crazy as, let's say, the African dances can be. But the fact is it's getting you in touch with the rhythm of life. Is that a sort of an accurate way to look at it?
Oh, I think that's very accurate, and it's also very important because everything in our bodies, all our cells, all our patterns, they're all regulated rhythmically. And it's, if we think about the word dis-ease, it's kind of like saying that something is out of rhythm. Mm-hmm. It's not at ease. It's not in a groove. And one of the things that we're doing very much in the Dances of Universal Peace is we're getting into a groove.
Not to mention you're connecting with other people and the energies of those people as well.
Well, that's one of the great benefits that a lot of people talk about is because it's a safe way to, sometimes we do partner dances and you will be gazing into the other person's eyes for a moment as you're trading places and then go on with the dance. So there's for me, first realizing that I'm okay, seeing myself being accepted and smiled at by all of these people I didn't know.
That's always encouraging, especially in this day and age.
Yes, and I also found, to be perfectly honest, that I would notice that some subconscious part of me, when I first started dancing, I would realize that I had been kind of sizing people up, and judgments and criticisms would come to mind, and I go, gosh, where did that come from? And I'd let go of it. Uh-huh. It really taught me more about just being accepting of no matter who I met in the dance circle and being, practicing loving kindness. So it's actually a spiritual practice for me, and I find that it's helped me just feel more accepted in daily life and also be more accepting and tolerant of everyone around me.
And do you also find, too, that, especially from your experience, but others as well, if you can certainly share that, is that they find themselves being more in the present moment of life?
Oh, yes, that's really what we're trying to do. To me, meditation is about getting centered, and when you're centered, you're present. You're fully present. Mm-hmm. We will do a 3 to 5 minute walk before we start the dance, where we talk about, okay, this is a transition time. Let go your cares of the day. There's nothing for the next hour and a half. We're not going to do anything about them. We can be fully present now and just connect with Source. So we feel like, if I can go back to the founder of the dances, Mershid Sam Lewis, he said he created the dances to provide the possibility or facilitate an environment through which each person might have their own direct connection with the divine, and that means being present.
Now tell me, Michael, have you had people who have attended this dance circle that you have on Tuesday evenings that they felt that not only their mental but their physical health really turned around for them?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I remember just a couple weeks ago, a woman came for the first time and danced with us for the whole evening, and she had seemed, quite kind of jumpy, nervous, a little hesitant when I first saw her before the dance. And afterward, when we spoke, she said, I don't know how it happened, but I feel like I've had a complete healing.
Wow.
She was much more grounded, and to me, that's about the rhythmic entrainment. That's one of the great things about doing this in a group rather than just alone at home, is that you can benefit by connecting with the energies of the other people in the circle. It has a grounding, centering effect, and that has a healing effect.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was no doubt that even though it was hedonistic during its time, Saturday Night Fever certainly pushed people in the right direction, and it sounds like this does the very same thing.
Yeah, if you can get your body moving.
Yes. Do you see the expressions of children coming onto the faces of people who attend this? A sense of playfulness and wonder as well?
Oh, yes. At the end of the dance, most people will stay around and talk for half an hour. I remember last week we were there talking for an hour after the dance, just because people feel so good that they don't want to leave the energy of it.
Uh-huh. Are you considering maybe increasing the regularity, or is it going to just stay one day a week?
Well, we'll be doing the 1 day a week on Tuesdays because my wife and I also lead a dance circle in Hillsborough on Friday nights. So that's about a heavy enough load for us to carry.
Yeah, as long as you're shaking your groove thing at least once a week, then you're ahead of most people, I would think. Michael, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on the program today. For the listeners out there, this is a Dance of Universal Peace Circle that is being held every Tuesday evening, and Michael's going to give us some more information about how we can find out more about that. Michael?
Yes, you can go to our website, which is movingmeditations-dup.com. You can also call us at 503-380-2817. And from our website, there are links to other sources of information about the dances.
Very good. Michael Sheehan, thank you for joining us here on the Beyond 50 radio program.
A pleasure. Thank you.
We want to thank you, the listeners. We encourage you to get up, move, and learn the universal dance of peace. Find out how that can profoundly change your life and perhaps share it with others to do the same. You can also share beyond50radio.com. That's our website where you can find out more about our program. That's the number 50. We also have a weekly e-news update. We encourage you to sign up. Comes out by email as well. I'm Daniel Davis. Thank you for joining us. This is the Beyond 50 radio program, and remember, live your day past halfway.